Join our community by subscribing. Every click helps us share more stories like this one.
The introduction. And the small town of Willow Creek, nestled between sweeping hills and thick whispering pines, a tranquil facade disguised the dark secrets hidden within its seemingly idyllic streets. To an outsider, it appeared picturesque, a postcard worth sending home. But for those who lived there, the cracks in this facade were becoming increasingly pronounced. One fateful evening, the air was thick with anticipation as the community gathered at the local gymnasium for the annual Fall Harvest Festival. Laughter echoed off the walls, mingling with the scent of freshly baked pies and caramel apples. Children raced through the crowd, their shrieks of delight a stark contrast to the chill of impending darkness that lingered just beyond the festival's lights. As night draped its cloak over the town, the joyfulness faded, replaced by a sense of unease. It was during this celebratory chaos that 16-year-old Sarah Thompson vanished. The festival continued, blissfully unaware, while an impenetrable darkness closed in on the young girl. Her absence was felt only when she failed to return home that evening. Panic gripped her parents, who searched feverishly beneath the glow of street lamps and the watchful gaze of the stars. By midnight, the Willow Creek Police Department became involved. Officers scoured the area, questioning festival-goers, hoping to unravel the mystery surrounding Sarah's disappearance. But as the clock ticked towards dawn, the town's idyllic veneer began to chip away, revealing a reality that would haunt Willow Creek for decades to come. What would surface in the days to follow would not just be the fate of one girl, but a dark tapestry of events that would embroil the entire community in fear, suspicion, and grief. The victim, Sarah Thompson, was many things to many people: a dutiful daughter, a devoted friend, and aspiring artist. To her parents, she was the light of their lives, a child who had a heart full of dreams and a spirit to match. She was bright, inquisitive, and fiercely independent, often seen wandering about the local library, immersing herself in books far beyond her years. At school, she was admired for her talent in art, winning accolades for her vibrant paintings, each stroke a window into her soul. Yet, beneath the youthful exuberance, Sarah wrestled with the burdens of adolescence, the insecurities of high school, the relentless pressure to fit into societal molds, and the fear of losing herself. In the chaos of growing up, the autumn evening of the festival had held a special thrill for her, the chance to embrace her community one last time before the chilling winds of winter descended. She had painted a mural with her friends that decorated the town square, a colorful representation of their shared hopes and nostalgia. Her laughter rang out as she danced through the festival, captivated by the familiar sights and smiling faces of those she loved. But with her parents happily mingling with friends, Sarah ventured into the festival's less traveled corners, drawn on by the allure of a bonfire and the whispers of older teens. As she leaned against a log, listening to tales of past antics and summer flames, the world around her felt safe and comforting. In that moment, the burdens of life dissipated, replaced by an intoxicating sense of freedom. However, as the flames flickered and shadows stretched across the ground, something dark crept into the atmosphere, unseen to Sarah's youthful eyes. A presence lingered on the edges of the celebration, unnoticed and unfelt, and with it, the nightmare began to unfold, inexorably shifting the trajectory of her life. and shattering the innocence of all who loved him. The crime scene. Daybreak painted the sky in muted hues of orange and gray, as the first rays of sunlight filtered through the thick pines. Willow Creek. The festival had long ended, laughter now replaced with anxious whispers, while the shimmering remnants of festivities cluttered the town square. The air was still, heavy with an ominous silence that seemed to cradle the unease settling over the community. As the hours ticked by, hope for Sarah's safe return dimmed, and it was only then that the police intensified their search efforts. By mid-morning, a team of officers gathered at the baseball field adjacent to the festival grounds, a place buzzing with activity just hours before. It was here that Chief Robert Harris deployed search dogs, their noses keenly trained to detect scents long after the chaos dispersed. The excitement of that vibrant night had vanished, replaced with an eerie feeling that coiled around the officers as they meticulously combed for clues. Hours turned to what felt like days, the tension thickening within the group. Then, just as they were ready to search the periphery of the park for the last time, a call came across the radio indicating something not far off. They would need to move at once. The officers followed the gravel path that wound through the wooded area bordering the field. The sun dipped behind the clouds, the forest growing darker as they moved deeper into the trees. It was here, shrouded by the embrace of nature, that they found here a small figure crumpled beneath a thick layer of fallen leaves. The world around them vanished as they knelt beside Sarah, now a ghost of the radiant young girl who had danced in the moonlight. Her vibrant spirit extinguished, leaving only a shell that told a horror story. She was hidden in the underbrush, an unsettling contrast to the once bustling atmosphere of the festival. As they cordoned off the area, the quiet murmurs of disbelief echoed through the forest, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked beyond the joys of their small-town life. In that moment, that innocent part of Willow Creek shattered, its residents left grappling with the harsh reality that their idyllic existence had been irrevocably altered. The early investigation. The morning sun cast long shadows over the willow trees as the investigation began in earnest, and the air thickened with despair. Police Chief Robert Harris, a veteran with close to 2 decades of experience, stood at the edge of the crime scene, absorbing the scene before him. The vibrant festivities of last night seemed like a distant memory, lost in a whirlwind of grief as he struggled to reconcile what he knew of Willow Creek with the chilling crime that had unfolded. As forensic teams meticulously combed through the area, an overwhelming sense of urgency gripped the chief. He knew that the first few hours were crucial information needed to materialize swiftly, and leads had to be pursued without hesitation. Officers were dispatched in every direction, tasked with questioning residents, relatives, and anyone who had come in contact with Sarah the night she disappeared. Chief Harris convened a briefing with his detectives, their faces weary but resolute. "We need to establish a timeline," he directed. "There are too many unknowns. We need to identify everyone who encountered Sarah at the festival. Friends, family, classmates of everyone. Something happened out here, and we need to find out who was involved." Detectives scoured the festival grounds once more, lining up eyewitness accounts. They created maps of the area, noting every detailed location of food stalls, the bonfire gathering, even the position of the portable restaurant. Grounded in reality, the minutiae became a mosaic, piecing together the atmosphere of that seemingly innocent night. As the investigation progressed, Tensions escalated in the town. Gossip traveled faster than the detectives could keep pace with, casting suspicion on previously trusted faces. Friends of Sarah's were interrogated. Their tears cast shadows of doubt on their alibis. And then, there were whispers of a man seen lingering near the festival's edge, a figure, shrouded in ambiguity, darting in and out of the shadows. With the clock ticking, Chief Harris knew they needed to act decisively. It was a race against time, for with each passing moment, the fragile hope of finding Sarah alive diminished, giving way to the painful truth that something sinister had taken root in their quiet. Willow Creek now understood. A witching hour had arrived, a turning point that would test the resolve of its community and the depths of human darkness. The dead ends. Days bled into weeks as the investigation unfolded, the vibrant colors of autumn giving way to the dull grays of winter. Each lead that flashed before the detectives, each piece of evidence collected, seemed to dissolve into nothingness. Frustration settled like a dense fog over Willow Creek, wrapping the town in a shroud of uncertainty. The promise of justice felt endlessly out of reach. The initial rush of excitement faded, replaced by the monotony of routine and the pounding reality of dead ends. Chief Harris routinely gathered his team to reassess the information they had compiled. They scrutinized every witness statement, creating charts and timelines, but no conclusion ever emerged. Reports of every suspicious figure sighted at the festival seemed to lead to false trails. Every tip that rang promising melted into chimeras of hope. One lead pointed to a drifter who was thought to have ventured through town during the festival. Dressed in tattered clothes, he reeked of desperation and secrecy. After a brief search, he was found camped out in a nearby abandoned bar. Officers swarmed the area, but upon questioning, they learned he had no connection to Sarah and had crossed through town days before the festival even occurred. Disappointment gnawed at them, frustration hanging heavy in the air. As the bleak November weather settled in, residents began to voice their apprehension, murmuring about the perceived ineffectiveness of the police. With each passing day, the palpable fear in the community surged, and families began to alter their routines, tightening their grips on their children, keeping them closer than ever. The idyllic images of Willow Creek shattered piece by piece, leaving a jagged outline of what once was a reflection of trust and security, veiled in an uncomfortable awareness of vulnerability. That evening, sitting in the dim light of his office, Chief Harris couldn't shake the gnawing doubt creeping into his mind. Were they missing something vital? Had they overlooked an obvious clue? Or was something deeper, a malevolence lurking in the heart of the town, going unnoticed? In the silence of his contemplation, the chief felt the weight of uncertainty suffocating him. The specter of Sarah's unresolved case loomed over every thought, each unanswered question echoing in the quiet corners of Willow Creek. A break in the case. As the relentless winter descended upon Willow Creek, the biting cold mirrored the town's mounting despair. News traveled slowly, and hope for Sarah Thompson was fading danger. As Chief Harris settled into yet another evening of reviewing case files, the familiar chime of his phone shattered the silence. It was Detective Clara Jenkins, her voice crackling with urgency. Chief, you need to get down to the station. We've got something, she said, trying to temper her excitement. His heart quickened as he made his way to the station, the fluorescent lights of the police department casting harsh shadows across the space. Inside, the tension snapped as Clara briefed him on a fresh lead. A local resident had found an item near the edge of the woods, only a short distance from where Sarah had been discovered. "It's a bracelet, one of those charm type," she explained, holding out a small evidence bag. "The owner claims it belonged to Sarah. It still has her initials engraved on it." Harris's mind raced. He knew that Sarah had a collection of bracelets she often wore, each marked with memories and significance. It was an emblem of her youth, and in his gut, he felt something shift the potential for answers after weeks of agonizing silence. The detectives immediately tracked down the resident, an elderly woman named Mildred, who explained how she'd been walking her dog that afternoon. When she spotted a glimmer by the thicket, she instinctively reached for it, unaware of its potential significance until the news of Sarah's disappearance reached her. As they questioned her further, Mildred recalled seeing a man in a dark jacket lurking nearby several days before the festival. He appeared out of place, almost ethereal, blending into the shadows. The details were vague but tinged with anxiety, leaving the detectives hungry for more. A supportive tension crackled in the room as they strategized, feeding off the flicker of hope reigniting in their heart. The pieces began to converge. A Mildred sighting could connect them to a name, a face, maybe even a motive. Encouraged by this new layer, Chief Harris issued a call to delve deep into the known residents of the area, focusing on anyone reported missing or acting suspiciously in recent months. For the first time in weeks, the atmosphere around the station blossomed with purpose. Little did they know, the shadows of Willow Creek were beginning to stir, echoing with secrets long hidden, ready to be exposed under the relentless pursuit of truth. The suspect. The day after the unexpected breakthrough, the Willow Creek Police Department bustled with renewed vigor. Tension had morphed into determination as the detectives prepared to follow up on the elderly woman's account. Chief Harris gathered his team in the small conference room, the air thick with anticipation. "And let's focus on the recent activity in the area," he instructed, his voice steady. "We need to identify this man, find out if he's linked to either Sarah or the festival." Within hours, a composite sketch based on Mildred's description unfurled on the wall, an image of a young man, unkempt hair, tattoos peeking from beneath his sleeves, wearing a dark, tattered jacket. They had hit the pavement, canvassing neighborhoods, and then revisiting security footage from the festival and surrounding area. As they explored any hints of the elusive figure, they stumbled upon Charlie Brooks, a local drifter frequently seen around town. Witnesses recalled the man's erratic behavior and unsettling presence, always lurking around the fringes of the community. It was reported that Charlie had crossed paths with Sarah. A casual encounter that now took on a darker significance. Detectives wasted no time tracking him down, locating him at a nearby shelter. When they arrived, he sat hunched over in a corner, surrounded by peeling walls adorned with daily notices. The employees recognized the police instantly. Apprehension crackled in the air as they led the detectives to find him. "Charlie Brooks," Detective Clara Jenkins announced, her voice cutting through the murmurs. "We need to ask you some questions about Sarah Thompson." His eyes narrowed as he straightened his posture, a mix of defiance and apprehension melding into one. "I told you already, haven't you? Just leave me alone," he mumbled, pushing back against the chair. But as they pressed, seeds of doubt played across his face. Questions turned to accusations. When detectives showed him the bracelet found in the woods, Charlie's demeanor shifted. a flicker of recognition igniting in his gaze. I saw that," he stammered, the words tumbling out before he could stop them. "I saw her wearing it at the festival." Unease settled in the room like a predator. Harris observed Charlie closely, noting how the young man fidgeted under scrutiny, his story disjointed and fraught with inconsistencies. As they interrogated him, the odds stacked high against him became increasingly apparent. The tension in the air shifted. They had a suspect, but the question remained. Was he a pawn in something larger, or had he woven himself deeply into the fabric of Sarah's disappearance? In that moment, Willow Creek held its breath, poised on the brink of a revelation that could unravel the very fabric of their community, a reckoning that was long overdue. The trial. The air was thick with anticipation as the day of the trial approached. The small town of Willow Creek had never witnessed such a spectacle. A trial that held the community in its thrall. Charlie Brooks, now charged with the abduction and murder of Sarah Thompson, was at the center of a symbolizing both dread and a desperate craving for closure. The courtroom brimmed with townsfolk, their faces a mixture of uncertainty and determination. Every seat was filled, whispers passing through the crowd like ripples across a park. The judge, a stern but fair figure, entered, and the room hushed at once. Chief Harris sat in the back, his heart beating heavily in his chest. The pain of losing a cherished member of his community washed over him once again as he recalled Sarah's laughter from the festival days. The prosecution laid out its case methodically, painting a portrait of Charlie Brooks as a man on the fringes of society, lost, volatile, and a suspected predator. They presented witness statements, the bracelet found in the woods, and his prior encounters with Sarah, transforming each detail into damning evidence against him. As the trial continued, the tale of Sarah's innocence and the tragedy of her life resonated through the courtroom. Pictures of her vibrant smile were projected on the screen, and the outpouring of grief filled the space. The emotional weight pressed heavily on the audience, echoing the collective mourning that had lingered in Willow Creek. Charlie's defense team worked feverishly to unravel the prosecution's narrative. They interrogated witnesses, trying to cast doubt on each shaky account, while highlighting Charlie's troubled past, deflecting blame to a system that had failed him time and again, yet leaving the judges and the jury with unanswered questions. Could someone else have had motive? They queried, emphasizing the lack of concrete evidence directly linking Charlie to the crime. As they chipped away at the case, a sense of uncertainty began to pervade the courtroom. The climax of the trial arrived when Charlie himself took the stand. The air grew tense as he recounted his version of events, stammering words, painting a picture as much of innocence as of guilt. While he firmly denied any involvement in Sarah's death, his lack of credibility echoed around the courtroom, allowing the jury to wade through the murky waters of doubt. As the prosecution delivered its closing arguments, Harris clutched the edge of his seat, the uneasy feeling of unresolved justice gnawing at him. He wondered if the truth would finally emerge from the shadows, or if the dark corners of Willow Creek would once more swallow it whole. As the jury retired to deliberate, the community breathed their collective sigh. Whatever the outcome, nothing could bring Sarah back. A ripple of melancholy spread through the crowd as they braced themselves for the final verdict. Aftermath. The verdict was delivered on a tense morning. The courtroom filled to capacity. We find the defendant, Charles Brooks, not guilty. on all charges. The word sent shockwaves through Willow Creek, reverberating like a clap of thunder in the silent courtroom. Gasps, followed by an unsettling murmur, swept through the audience. Disbelief etched into the faces of the townsfolk. An impossible reality settling heavily in the air. Chief Harris remained seated, his heart hammering against his ribs. A deep sense of failure walked. As the gavel hammered down, a collective exhalation filled the chamber, a mixture of relief for Charlie and anguish for Sarah. The emptiness left in the aftermath consumed the community, a raw wound that refused to heal. In the weeks that followed, Willow Creek struggled to find its footing once more. The shadows of doubt lingered like thick fog, covering the streets where laughter once thrived. People began locking their doors, ensuring they would remain safe within the confines of their homes. Festival gatherings disappeared, replaced by questions that echoed endlessly in their minds. Was justice truly served? Had they all underestimated the darkness lurking just outside their doors? For Chief Harris, the case remained an open wound, a haunting reminder of what they had lost. The faces of Sarah's family became ghostly images in his mind, their grief palpable and profound. He knew he had to confront them, to explain the outcome that offered no solace, a duty that weighed heavily on his conscience. One rainy evening, he visited the Thompson family, sitting across from them in their living room, chairs positioned awkwardly. He felt the weight of their grief. Sarah's parents were quiet, their expressions guarded. "So sorry," he finally said, his voice cracking. "He did everything we could, but there are no words that can fix this." They listened, their tears falling freely, pooling on the coffee table, like the unresolved questions lingering in the community. It was then that he understood the depth of their loss, a void that would never fill, an absence that would ripple through generation. In the months that followed, while the investigation had officially closed, the echoes of Sarah Thompson remained vibrant in the memories of those who loved her. Community members began to gather in her honor, organizing vigils and art exhibitions to remember the girl with the big dreams and an even bigger heart. Though they may never fully understand how Sarah's life could be violently stolen from them, they promised never to forget. And as the autumn leaves fell once more, Willow Creek grappled with the reality of their shared trauma, woven tightly against the backdrop of their once idyllic lives, hesitant but resolute in moving forward forever, altered by the shadows of the past. Reflection. As the seasons turned, change swept through Willow Creek, transforming the landscape in quiet yet undeniable ways. The pall of grief had settled into the very bones of the town, both haunting and shaping the lives of its residents. The once vibrant smile of Sarah Thompson lingered in the corners of their hearts, a catalyst for change and a reminder of the fragility of life. Chief Harris found himself reflecting on the cost of seeking justice in an imperfect world. On his evening runs down familiar pathways, he would replay moments from the case, grappling with questions that never seemed to find resolution. How could a community that had forged strong, unbreakable bonds face such darkness? More importantly, how could they protect each other from it in the future? In recurring community gatherings, Harris noticed a renewed commitment among townsfolk, a collective desire to ensure that no child would ever again face the vulnerabilities that Sarah had encountered. Activism blossomed, with classes on safety for families taking root. The town began hosting annual memorials, fostering open conversations about safety, loss, and healing.